Yo, what's going on? It's your resident Michigan fan, one half of a House Divided podcast. It's your boy Marcus. Hey, long weekend, folks. Let's go ahead and jump into it and break it down. I already know what we're here to talk about, but housekeeping stuff. Like, share, and subscribe. Trying to get this channel as big as we can. We'll be doing this, I believe, through the at least through the championship weekend. We'll see what's going on with the playoffs. But this Saturday, the big college football show at 11. Make sure you tune in onto this channel for that. Myself, Maze Madman, Boxing Maniac, Johnny Oten, Josh, who's living on cloud nine right about now. They're in the middle of their run, so we'll be breaking it all down. Make sure you get in here and tune in for the analysis. I guess not even I guess we'll go ahead and we'll give just due to the opponent on this one because it wasn't any question. They left no question on the field. Um, a lot of the advantages you would have thought Michigan would have looked to try to exploit in this game just weren't there. Weren't well, not to a large enough degree to affect the game. You could say that pretty soundly. They controlled both lines of the scrimmage. They ran the ball very effectively, especially on first downs, which was a killer. That's a backbreaker on defense. They were able to hit some things deep. Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith both able to get behind the defense, and we'll put that the juggle catch or whatever, the touchback potentially, we'll put that in the box, and we're not allowed to talk about it until we win again, right? Because the product that we put out there in spite of that was uninspiring. I don't want to hear, oh well, that changes the complex. That's loser talk, y'all. That's loser talk, and there's a lot of loser talk going on in the fan base, which I'll address after we address the opponent. But just a thorough ass whooping. Wasn't anything too crazy. Wasn't the 2018 game, 2019. Didn't have to be 2018 or 2019. They did what they needed to do. Looking back on it, you can say now in retrospect that the blueprints for this happening to Michigan in the last game of the season, unfortunately, were there. Right, we saw us not really fitting gap scheme runs the way we should. You saw us having leaks in the zone coverage. You saw us at times not get a pass rush. Right, and you take the good with the bad of the season. There were times where the pass rush played above its average. There were times where it played below. Far too times though this season they were below. Um, and in this game especially, they just weren't able to affect them. Couldn't move him off his spot. Couldn't speed up his clock. If he's going to sit back there all day, of course he's going to. Of course, you know. And I think that if I'm being fair, this is a game where you could look at Ryan Day and say that this is one he's gonna put on the mantle for sure. He'll hold this one dear because he coached a complete game. Even when Michigan had a tilt early on in the first quarter, they didn't panic. They got stops. We kicked field goals instead of getting touchdowns. So you kind of nullify the effect, right? They do what they do. Eventually they score. And now the effect of what you did in the first quarter feels like it's nothing. So yeah, tip your caps to them. There's really no controversy to it. They went out there, they put belt to ass, and they picked up a dub. So there's really there's no bitching and moaning about it, man. And that's where I'll pick up this next segment. Congrats to them. We'll see them go play in the Big Ten championship game versus Indiana. See how they do in the playoff, but it'll be another 365 until we can actually address what we just saw Saturday on the field. Unfortunately, all of this belly aching. Now I'm talking to Michigan fans, man. So like there's so much shit going on within the fan base, and I sit here and I look at it, and I can't help but be disappointed. Um, some of you wear skirts, and that's not even to offend people who wear skirts on the regular who should be wearing them. This is not to offend you. This is to offend the masculine posturing folks online who show that they wear skirts. Like, I wouldn't want to be in a bar fight, let alone a foxhole, with some of you. Some of y'all are nostalgic for those days where Steve Dace was able to go on 30-minute tirades about how much Michigan football sucked. That's you want it back, right? You all want to go watch Ghostbusters on the day of the game. That's what y'all want to do. Y'all want to go back to those days. And so at the first sign of trouble, you put your head in a hole and you show your ass. Well, I'm here to tell you, like, if that is the type of content you're eating up right now, oh man, fuck what we need in the portal. We got to replace the coach. Okay, that's where you at. There is a plethora of Michigan media who would love to feed you that, who is literally at this point Ohio State influencer media bait or just chum, just eating this shit up. So like, if that's what you're looking for, that type of bellyache, and I don't have that for you. This is football. This is a game that's built off of adversity. It was lovely to have a 4-year streak. It's over. Rebuild the fucking thing and go get it again. Why is there so much? Oh my God, we need to hire Kalen DeBoer. Are you out of your fucking mind? Are you out of your do you actually think about this shit before you type it and put it on the internet? We beat Kalen DeBoer 2 years in 1 year. 2 times, excuse me. We beat Kalen DeBoer 2 times in 1 year. And that happened recently. Are you out of your fucking mind? The way that you ride these narrative waves, and this is what I will lead some credence to some of our counterparts on the other side of the rivalry. They said this, they ride a narrative, ride a narrative. And so me with my football brain, I can separate the shit talking of, oh yeah, well, it was cold in 2021, so yeah, we wanted to be cold again. That plays in our favor. I can separate that from the actual ball of it, from scheme, from the Jimmys and Joes. Like I can separate that. And so they've been talking shit like, oh well, you think that the cold is going to win you the game? No, not really. No, it's football, right? Cold be damned, you still got to do the thing. There's scheme, there's research that goes, and there's a lot of shit that goes on here other than the snowflakes. But some of you fuckers, some of you actually feed into that shit. Some of you see, oh my God, LSU's doing so much to get Lane Kiffin. We should have got Lane Kiffin. You know, an offensive coach who done won 15 out of the 30 tries that he has against ranked teams. And that's who you want to coach. I want to round all of you bozos up on a fucking boat and ship you out to sea to never be seen again. I swear to God, I hate every single time Michigan runs into some sort of adversity. It's time to go find the next hottest name on the coaching list because they got to be Jesus and they're going to fix everything. And they're just going to make me feel everything's going to feel like 2023 again. First of all, 15-0, national champions, right? Never been done in program history. Not even your dear rival down here in Columbus can flout that. Well, at least not yet, right? Remains to be seen. But please get off your whiny little ass and just comb the portal and get ready for next year because such is football. Stop your bitching. It is embarrassing. Like, it's one thing to lose the game, but like, can you take some pride in the fact that you won the last 4? Can you stand up and stop crying all over the place? It's so weak. It's meager. It's beneath the program. Let them lick their wounds. You are an observer. Observe. And then for it to just be all emotion, and there's no schematic behind it, right? I have respect for certain people, and I will hear complaints, right? And sometimes you got to take it. I'm not even saying that there isn't any correction that needs, because there's a lot of correction that needs to be made. And some of that correction may end at certain people's positions. But when you come in here talking about regime change, Bryce Underwood should transfer to LSU. Oh my God. Oh my God. Listen. Again, I can't feed you that type of content. I can't be that person for you. I just want to make it very clear. If you're coming to try and dig into the scheme, dig into what went wrong schematically, where we need to improve personnel wise, where we need potentially to improve on the staff, I'm all for it. We'll break it down. We'll talk about it. What I'm not going to do is say, yeah, the answer to Michigan football is to restart the clock with a guy from outside of the tree completely that we've beaten twice in a calendar year. And who, at the beginning of this season, when they fucking lost to FSU, those same people would have been talking about how embarrassing it was that he was even coaching at Alabama. Narrative writers. Not for House Divided. Anyways. So yeah, man. I thought it was definitely a loss not to have some of your senior captains, Max Begerson out. Whatever the hell happened to the individual whose name shall go unspoken from henceforth in my book. Don't know what happened with him, our senior linebacker, leading tackler. I thought, Rolder and Sullivan played okay to start. But again, the things that plagued us throughout the year, spotty tackling, giving up outside leverage. Like, even if Rolder doesn't turn into a roller skate artist when he's got Bo Jackson dead to rights and just decides to pull up and do the fucking shimmy with him. Even if he doesn't, Metcalf should be there to clean that up and not allow him to continue up the sideline. But like we've done all year, we take bad angles to try and get boom plays, and no boom play. Bye-bye. I'm going right around you at the most inopportune time. And that is a little bit disappointing, right? You would like to think that this staff would have gotten. You can't paint stripes onto a lion and call it a tiger. But for this game, points of focus, right? We have to be clean tackling. We have to be gap sound. And we have to get pressure. One of the most glaring points that I've seen as a difference in between kind of like the old guard of edge rushers, the guys that were already here before this new staff got here, and some of the guys that have been a little bit more in tune to the coaching of this newer staff, is the lack of hand violence. We are here and we are staying here for the duration of the rep. Our block destruction has kind of waned because our hand violence is null and void. Initial punch, and we're driving right through it. We're not ripping. We're not breaking. We're not coming here. There is no secondary movement, right? And so if we're not winning right now, we don't win. If we don't win right now off the snap, we don't win. And guys are able to anchor us, and they're able to turn us, and they're able to double team us. God, Jesus, I saw a tight end flatten Trey Williams on his back off of a double team, and it hurt my soul. It hurt my soul. That is such a far cry from what we were doing on the defensive line, even just 2 years ago. And so that is not just, oh well, you don't have 2 first round tight ends. That's not what that is. So again, I'm a guy who sits here and does this from my room, from my office, and I don't make millions of dollars to coach college football. So far be it on me to call on certain people's positions, but it is something that I can see as a layman needs work, right? It needs improvement. However that improvement comes is up to smarter individuals, but it needs a change. It needs a change for sure. Same thing in the defensive backfield. It was here and then it was gone. There were good reps, there were not so good reps. And when we're not getting a pass rush, definitely needed more soundness in the defensive backfield than what we got. And, we saw the results. I think something to focus on for these next 15 practices is who are we identifying for some of these early conversations before we even start portal hunting? It'd be good to know your landscape of guys who are going to explore and who you expect to come back, so you know who you can set your money aside for, your already established roster money. Because you can start rearranging stuff and start thinking about deals for guys that you really, really want. That'll be the next phase of what I'm going to talk about is something solution-based, something that is lacking right now. And then I understand it. It just happened Saturday. Nobody really is over it just yet. So I get it. That's not where I'm at, though. I want to start talking about what we do. What are we doing to make sure that we don't stay here? To make sure this isn't another streak for us, right? Because, yeah, they're celebrating. They should be celebrating. Let's start planning to pull the rug out from underneath them the way that they did us. That's what a rivalry is. Let's not sit up here and cry forever. Let's build to what eventually will be another championship team. But that's not to say that right now for these next 15 practices there isn't anything to be gained. There's a lot to be gained for our freshman quarterback. A lot to be gained about what we have actually on our offensive line going forward, right? What do we need to fill in the portal on the offensive line? Do we need to fill in the portal? I happen to think that what you got out of Blake Frazier this year instead for Evan Link gives you the prospect of moving Link inside and keeping Frazier a tackle, which makes you very strong, at least to start the year next year. Gives you a very powerful line run blocker on the inside, which is what you'll need to replace Giovanni El-Hadi. And then with Blake Frazier getting another whole spring, another offseason, another winter conditioning of just adding mass and getting bigger, that's a pretty good outlook for the left side of your offensive line. On the right side, you'll have Andrew Sprague coming back for another year to be his redshirt sophomore year. Again, weight, experience, another offseason workout. He played pretty well this year, I think. Caden Curry is one of the better pass rushers that he's seen all season. I thought he did okay. I thought Kenyatta Jackson was really the guy who popped on the defensive line. Even Arvell Reese, like he had some good plays, but it wasn't like Blake Frazier or Sprague couldn't block him per se. It was the fact that we could talk what went wrong with the offense, and we will here in a second all day, but it was more so of what was going on from the captain's seat in that regard. I thought he had time when he needed to have time. So next year, offensive line looks like you have a pretty strong group. It's just it'll be fine tuning. Can we just slide Guinera in the center? Is he good there, or does he have to occupy one of the guard spots? Obviously you'll have Andrew Babaloa, who's going to play a role in that as well. So somewhere in there, we're going to have a pretty stellar offensive line It's just that where do the pieces fit? Where do you maybe need to plug a hole? But I don't think that's a place, fortunately, where they'll have to spend a lot of money. I think these practices and the bowl game will be, what do we have young defensive tackle and edge wise, also corners? What do we have in terms of youth there? Use this time to find out what you need to go get in the portal. I think they absolutely need to go get an edge. They need to be firing at the A-listers in that regard. First, they need that probably about as bad as they need another wide receiver with Donaven McCulley going. Right? You want an established edge, established corner, established wide receiver. Those are not the easiest things to get. Right? They're amongst the hottest commodities. So Michigan needs to have answers for, all right, who's going to hit the portal? How much money do we have? And be very aggressive about making offers early before these guys start racking up, right? That's how Ohio State really got going last year when they got Will Howard and Quinshon Judkins and even, was that same year as Caleb Downs, I think? They're 2 years ago when they did all that, right? It was, they got out early. They got out, got guys, and then started plugging in spot positions later in the portal, but they got their big guys early. So I think that is really going to benefit us, is using these next 15 practices in the bowl game to establish, all right, who we keeping and who's going to be looking for greener pastures, whether that's from us or that's, for their side of the thing. Last thing I'll kind of establish on this weekend and going forward is Bryce, right? We're a season in. We've kind of seen what we've seen of it, around 1,800 yards, 9 touchdowns, 6 or 7 interceptions, I think, on the season. Total between the fumbles, I think he ended up having more turnovers than he had touchdowns, which is not optimal, right? Not the idea going into the season. I think the up and down nature of how he played was relative to how much we needed him to be good on offense, right? To have a competent passing offense. The more we needed to lean on him, the more that pressure kind of caused deficiencies in his footwork, deficiencies in his coverage breakdown. It even got to a point late in the season where I felt like it affected his ability to run the football. And so we're going into a long off season where it's kind of do or die. Not do or die for him as a player. Obviously, he's going to have a lot more runway, but do or die for what we're doing currently on offense. I think we're at a crossroads where Sherrone either doubles, triples down on his norm and better situates the offense for that, which would mean heavy running back, offensive line, portal season, maybe one wide receiver to make us dangerous, but really just hunkering down on what we already do. Can't really say that, it's an unproven method, but I don't necessarily know if it fits what where we're currently at in the college football landscape, the conference landscape, and where he's at career-wise. I think a better solution is to lean a little bit further into your pro spread concepts and really see what you can get in the portal, right? I like some of the young wide receivers they have on the roster already as second-year players. Jamar Browder, Jacob Washington. They're going to get a Marion Stewart back. That'll be huge. They've got guys like Jalen Powell coming in and Travis Johnson. You hope you get if you can get the combination of those two guys between Jalen Powell and Travis Johnson of production that you got from Andrew Marsh, that's a success. So I like that. I don't think they need to go crazy, but if they pick up 2 guys at wide receiver in the portal, they've outdone themselves. And one of those guys is an absolute stud, Andrew Marsh. Like there's no reason why you shouldn't be playing that And I get it. He's going to kind of be a Kenyon Coleman type where he's going to command a pretty check. He's going to want to know that the offense is going to be something he could depend on. I think I would be showing him Andrew Marsh tape, right? If we can get a freshman that can get open the ball this often. And I mean, when you look back on it, Andrew Marsh really had the bulk load of his production in a month's worth of ball. That's what I would be showing him. If you flash, if you can get open, if you have some sort of rapport with Bryce, if we give you an entire offseason with him, we can do this plus. Problem is they weren't playing him. They weren't playing him early in the season. So it was like, if we got a full year of the usage out of what we did from October through the rest of the year, I mean, that sky's the limit. And then there's a decent amount of McCulley snaps that you can show him as well on how you plan to use them. I think just the question is going to remain, listen, I want to be a guy who wants to take the top of the defense. I want to be a guy who gets 10 to 12 targets a game. Can that be me? I think they can offer him that. Can you convince him of it? What you've done offensively this year. Just got to go out and do it. Yeah. That's it, man. You got to tip your cap. We took an L this year. Doesn't mean that it has to be part of the same lack of success that they've experienced in this rivalry this year. It requires you to reach down into your pants and find a pair. Stand up and let's go get it. Let's see what we got in the bowl game. I've seen Vanderbilt. I've seen Tennessee predicted. I've seen Texas predicted. I don't know. It depends on, I guess, how tonight the rankings tonight will shape out and what happens in championship weekend. So we'll be taking a peek at it. Make sure you come back here for some more breakdown going forward on everything, championship games, bowl games, all of it. We'll be getting pregame analysis once we get our opponent. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe again. Keep messing with us. Appreciate y'all. We out.